Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. I'm Jim Weber with your tropical update. We are watching now Hurricane Elsa working its way into the Caribbean. You look at that enhanced satellite loop and you notice a few things. We're starting to see more and more of that convection getting closer to the center of this storm. You're also seeing more of that outflow. That's where you see that almost looks like that fanning effect on that northern side and also on towards the western and the southern side. So you're starting to see that all around the storm. Those are signs that is getting better organized. Hurricane reconnaissance plane, they were flying in this system this morning and they were finding it was trying to develop that eye or that center. Didn't quite get there, but there are signs that as we go through later on today, we might start to see that eye forming in this system. Here's another perspective of this from the visible satellite loop. You can see that center. You can see some of that flare up of convection near the center of this storm. So right now we are talking about a hurricane of winds of 75 miles an hour. It is moving very quickly towards the west-northwest at 29 miles an hour. And the forecast track really hasn't changed all that much because it really still hinges on exactly what happens this weekend as it moves through the Caribbean, what kind of land interactions this ends up happening, and also drier air and that fast motion with this as well. Because you look at some of the different computer models and in the short term, they're all in very good agreement. It's that long term, what happens after this point, because some of the models just want to basically weaken it. Some of them want to dissipate it altogether. So we've got vastly different ideas of what can happen, and that what happens in the near term is going to really obviously affect what happens in the long term. So yes, we do have that cone over Florida, but things will continue to change as we go through the weekend. And still at this point, all we can really say is it's something that we have to watch very closely. So what's tracking this, or what is basically steering this, is basically this big ridge of high pressure which is sitting to the north. So in the short term, that is what is continuing to make its way on towards that westerly direction. And then eventually it finds that weakness on the western side of that high, and that will allow it to turn. So exactly how strong this is, that will help to determine where it turns, and also how strong the storm is will also tend to help determine exactly where it makes its turn and what it ends up doing. Look at the different computer models. Again, we talk about this, that agreement, that consensus among the computer models. You're seeing that until Saturday night, and then you start to see more and more of that spread in the computer models. And so you go and you say, okay, what does the GFS and the European, our best computer models, what is it saying about this? Well, you can see, again, we're talking about pretty good consensus in the short term. Here we go, Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, and then you see the white, which is the European. It basically just dissipates this storm. So we're talking about one system or one computer model dissipating this, and then you have the GFS, which has been carrying this as maybe a weaker system, but it does continue to work its way up into the Gulf of Mexico. So as we go through the holiday weekend, I want you to keep tabs on this, because as we get into Saturday night and into Sunday, that is really going to be the point where we get a very good idea of exactly what will happen with this system. And we will keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.